Hello, so this is an introduction into adding and subtracting without the use of any diagrams. Our adding rules. Essentially, if you have two like terms, what you're going to do is you're going to add the two numbers and keep the sign. So what I mean is if you have a positive 3 plus a positive 1, both of these signs are positive, so I'm just going to turn this into a positive 4. On the other hand, if you have a negative 3 plus a negative 2, once again, negative and negative. So I'm just going to add the 3 and the 2 like normal. I'm going to get a 5, and I'm going to keep that sign of negative. For unlike terms, so this is where you have terms like positive 5 plus negative 2. Now I don't have the same signs. What we need to do is we need to subtract the two numbers, and then we're going to use a sign of the bigger number. So because they're not the same sign, I'm going to go 5 minus 2, and that gives me a 3. I have to look at which number is bigger. The 5 is bigger than the 2, so I'm going to keep that positive symbol and just put it right there. What if we have something like a positive 3 plus a negative 6? So in this case, as long as they're different signs, I'm going to subtract. So 6 minus 3 is 3, and my 6 is also bigger than a 3, so that gives me a negative. For subtracting rules, we're pretty much going to just keep using the adding rules by turning everything into an addition statement. We're going to change the subtracting sign, and then we're going to add the opposite number. Let's take a look at how this works. If I have a positive 3 subtracting a negative 1, then what I would do is I would just recopy the first number, never touch that first number, and I'm going to add, still keep the 1, but I'm going to change that sign. So instead of subtracting a negative 1, I'm going to add a positive 1. Now I just keep going back to those addition rules. So if they're the same sign, then I'm just going to add the 3 plus a 1, and I'm going to keep that positive symbol. Let's take a look at another example. So what if I have a negative 5, and I'm going to take away a positive 3? So in this example over here, once again, don't touch the first number. I'm going to keep that a negative 5. And instead of subtracting, I'm going to add a negative 3. So both of these signs have switched. So if you take a look here, this negative has turned into a positive, and this positive has turned into a negative. Okay, so now I just solved this addition statement, and it would give me my answer. So a negative and a negative, same sign, so I'm going to add them together. It's going to give me an 8, and I keep that negative sign. So that must mean that earlier statement of negative 5 take away positive 3 is also a negative 8, right? And this one will give me my equivalent positive 4. Okay, let's take a look at these three over here. So I have three questions. Positive 3 take away negative 4, negative 5 take away positive 1, and negative 2 take away negative 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all copy out that first number, and I'm not going to change it. And then I'm going to copy out the second number. So the only things I'm not going to copy out is that subtracting and then the sign right after the subtracting. So in order to solve it, I need to flip those two signs. So this negative will now become a positive. This negative will now become a positive. So now I have positive 3 plus positive 4. If I was to go back and use my integer chips, let's pop them in over here. So I'm going to set that blue to negative, red to positive. So if I did show this with chips, then positive 3 plus positive 4 would be 1, 2, 3 positive chips, 1, 2, 3, 4 negative chips, or sorry, positive chips. And my final answer, I have a total of 7, positive 7, which is the same thing as this one. Okay, next one, if I have negative 5, once again, copy the whole thing, and I'm going to copy down that 1. The only thing I'm going to change are these two signs. So now I'm adding a negative. So now this is negative 5 plus a negative 1. So my integer chips, if I have 5 negative 1s and add 1 negative 1, my final answer will be negative 6. So there you go. Last one, if I have negative 2 and I'm taking away negative 6, I'm going to copy it down and once again just change the subtracting and whatever sign comes after subtracting. So now I have -2 plus +6. So -2, I'm going to add +6. And so once again, if I get rid of my 0 pairs, these are gone. I'm left with 4. So I have a +4, which will be the same as this answer. So hopefully that works. Your shortcut, once again, is always to just change your negative, your subtracting sign, and then to change whatever sign comes after it. And then follow your addition rules. So once again, if they're the same signs that you're adding, you can just add those two numbers and keep that original sign. If you're adding both negatives, just add them together and keep that negative sign. The only one tricky is if you have a negative and a positive. Now you need to subtract. So 6 minus 2 will give you that 4. And because the 6 is bigger, keep that positive sign. Okay, so hopefully this video helped. I hope you have a great day and it made your math a little bit easier.